Alabama supporters, take a deep breath. I understand your thoughts right now. This marks the start of the decline. The championship era has concluded. Following Saturday's events, your concerns are shared by many. The media coverage is harsh. Fans are expressing their frustration loudly. However, what if I suggested that everyone is viewing this situation incorrectly? What if this wasn't a catastrophe, but rather a foundation? There exists something concealed within that Florida State matchup that virtually no one has recognized. A component buried beneath the turmoil, the frustration, and the commotion. Once you perceive it, it will remain with you permanently. This defeat might represent precisely what Alabama required. The singular instance that awakens this squad, brings the locker room together, transforms their approach, and creates the ideal conditions leading up to the Georgia game. Stay with me, because once you grasp this concept, sky-high expectations. Entering the season's first game, anticipations reached extraordinary levels. Alabama supporters, sports analysts, and program insiders held the conviction that this squad possessed the skill, the leadership, and the drive to establish dominance from the beginning. A refreshed coaching staff, innovative strategies, a locker room filled with game-changing athletes. Everyone believed this would serve as the defining performance that would establish the direction for the complete season. Initially, it appeared the enthusiasm was justified. Alabama's first offensive series was virtually perfect. 16 plays executed, 9 minutes consumed from the game clock. Florida State's defensive unit became exhausted and struggled to find solutions. The Tide maintained control of the pace, succeeded on crucial third-down situations, and advanced the ball down the field with complete command. It felt as though Alabama football had returned to form. The shift. However, then, circumstances changed. The accuracy diminished, the performance declined, and team coordination began deteriorating. Infractions started accumulating, destroying offensive drives and changing the game's momentum. Ty Simpson showed uncertainty during important decision-making moments. The offensive line had difficulty providing him protection, and suddenly the offense lost its flow. That initial control disappeared, and rather than commanding the game, Alabama became responsive, anticipating Florida State errors that never materialized. Defensive breakdown. On the defensive side, things collapsed equally rapidly. Unsuccessful tackles, missed responsibilities, and sluggish pursuit plagued the Tide throughout the evening. Dan Orlovsky's analysis after the game revealed 21 plays where defenders simply failed to pursue the football. 21 instances of inadequate effort from a program established on unwavering determination. Florida State didn't merely defeat Alabama in physical competition. They revealed uncertainty, bewilderment, and insufficient confidence in their system. After the game, Kalen DeBoer acknowledged the effort fell short of expectations. He addressed communication failures and emphasized that certain players appeared uncertain, describing it as hesitation and lack of confidence in the exact plays they had practiced throughout the week. When a coach makes such statements regarding Alabama football, it conveys a message no supporter wishes to hear. The expected standard wasn't achieved. Coach DeBoer's post-game assessment. We're certainly disappointed in some effort situations that happened. I think they came in different ways, and some of it just flat out gotta pursue, gotta get there. And, it's surprising sometimes when it happens, especially with certain guys, because of the effort that they put in and day out. But, and I think there were some other things that come across as hesitancy, is the way I kind of put it. I think after the game probably would follow that up and say that there was a couple times where we just got to be quicker to get to a spot and do our job, It might be setting an edge and just, again, hesitant with the communication, kind of confirming or just, we believe and have that confidence in what we're doing. There really wasn't much. It was really, I think I spoke maybe that there was a couple looks that we hadn't really practiced. Well, I don't really feel like there was really that at all after watching the film. I thought we did a good job preparing. I thought the guys had a great week. Now you just gotta, translate the numbers that you see on the football field that were in different jerseys and believe that that scheme, those X's and O's that you saw in your week of preparation, is who it is in a Florida State uniform. And, I think you saw it as the second half went along. They started really kind of get into it, but it was too late, It just put us behind the 8 ball. Now you've got to be perfect in everything you do, and it put us in a spot where we had to play catch-up. And on the road, that's certainly hard to do. And, those guys were feeling it there with Florida State. There's a chance for them. And again, together as a team, we got to find a way to overcome one side of the ball when you need that drive for a touchdown, getting it done defensively when you can get that big stop, getting it taken care of right there. We inched our way back in the game. That's what you got to do when you have a 17-point deficit. Again, we shouldn't get to that spot, but inching our way, something that we did better than I felt in the offseason. We've talked about, the Oklahoma game last year and how you got to try to get 7 points and make it close and put some pressure on them. And we were right there, for 24-17. Really, we should have the ball 3rd and 11, on defense with 9 minutes to go. And, just how far we had come in that probably previous 10 to 15 minutes of the game, I'd have felt like, man, this thing's going to happen, and that there's a real belief and confidence, I think, was building on the sideline. So you got to finish, you got to get the stops. It comes back to just that effort, but it has to happen from the very first play. The reality check. This wasn't about talent. This wasn't about publicity. It concerned execution, focus, and belief. For Alabama, that's precisely why this defeat hurts, and why it could represent the crucial moment they were unaware they needed. The previous season fell short of Alabama standards. A year without a championship feels like disappointment. That explains why the excitement for this season was so overwhelming. Fresh energy, renewed optimism. Supporters were certain this would be the year to restore the dynasty. But perhaps, just perhaps, expectations exceeded reality. Saturday demonstrated one fundamental truth. The helmet, the reputation, the legacy, they no longer guarantee victories. You must compete for it on every down, every play, every yard. Florida State demonstrated this. They removed the false impression. They revealed the reality under the most intense spotlight. Alabama isn't currently feared, not at this moment. The turning point. Here's where this narrative transforms. If this program is founded on anything, it's based on pride, on determination, on bouncing back. Kalen DeBoer acknowledged it directly. This team showed hesitation. Dan Orlovsky presented the footage, 21 plays without pursuit. Paul Feinbaum declared the effort unacceptable. The whole nation is questioning Alabama's heart. That's precisely why this defeat could represent the most beneficial thing to occur to this team, because it forces everyone, players, coaches, leaders, to step down from their pedestal and earn their place. Now it's about identity, about giving everything on the field, about showing the dynasty isn't merely a title, but a standard of excellence. If this defense finds its intensity, if this offense develops confidence in its rhythm, if this locker room decides they've had enough, this Florida State defeat becomes the catalyst, the pivotal moment, the instance we'll all reflect on and declare that's when everything transformed. The question remains, what are your thoughts? Was this the awakening Alabama needed, or was this the start of their decline? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this discussion is only beginning. Roll Tide forever.